Good evening, Sector 001, TJS. Eye of the Needle. Before we get started, Dan, can you give us some of your background with Star Trek?
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm having a bit of internet problems.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I was an admin on Memory Alpha for 6 years. Nowadays, I'm writing for the official Star Trek magazine, Star Trek Explorer, and I'm the editor of a Star Trek website called Warp Factor Check. The first episode that I ever saw, I thought in some ways it links to this episode because there's like Romulans in both. It was the Defector in the Next Generation.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, enjoyed it. I was fascinated um, by the Romulans and the machinations and the plot and the writing of by Michael Piller in that case. But yeah, I really like also like in this one the writing of Jerry Taylor.
Oh, the writing was superb in that episode.
Yeah.
I definitely felt the tension. Like, oh, we've been in the Delta Quadrant for so many months, and we finally have a glimmer of hope.
Hmm.
And that's definitely one of the tenets that Star Trek was founded on, was hope.
Yeah. So may I ask some questions? I've drafted a few questions.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, like, how much do you think this episode, like, featured in Wormhole, is a deliberate nod to Deep Space Nine?
Oh, it's absolutely a deliberate nod. It's the same time period they left
Hmm.
from Deep Space Nine, so clearly it's reflecting back to their starting point.
Hmm. What do you think about like how, um, like, what the Doctor goes through in this episode? I have to Needle, uh, like, could be seen as like similar to Data in The Measure of a Man.
Oh, it absolutely was. Yes. With the Doctor, it was. I think it was more of the reverse because they would take him for granted and just treat him like a piece of machinery from the get go.
Hmm.
But along with that, I think it gave the writers some really good background to set up what the character of the Doctor really was.
Yeah, I thought like the way that in I have Needle, I thought like it's a lot more, I think, concise because not the entire episode is spent um, talking about whether uh, the Doctor in this case is alive, as Cass suggests he is. Um, and I also thought it's interesting, like seeing like the parallels or similarities. The like Jamie can't just contact Starfleet to like help decide if he is, unlike Picard.
Right, and that's one of the things that made Voyager such a different show, is that they literally had to do everything,
Yeah,
you know, as far away from the Federation as anybody's ever been.
yeah,
And a lot of it was very much the wagon train in the stars, because
mhm,
Janeway had to do a lot of stuff off the cuff.
yeah. And obviously, this episode as well, like brings out like the difficulties in trying to get messages like to their families in this case.
Which brings us to one of the main components. Like,
Mhm.
they were so excited to send the message, only to
Yeah,
find out later when Tuvok scanned Ramor that all they would be doing is sending a message back in time.
yeah, yeah. I like how this episode like fleshed out quite a few of the characters. Like we get some background story about Harry Kim and Balana Torres, and I thought like this is just like the sixth episode of the show. I think it is numbered, and I felt like it provides like even more backstory than like some of the bridge crew that we've had in Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, they took quite a bit longer to really flesh out a lot of those characters in Discovery.
Yeah, I do really like Discovery as well. I love all the Star Trek series. Um, I also like that we get to see like Janeway in her quarters because again, like fleshing out like who she is, uh, and basically, and also like for the first time, it seems like Cass expresses an interest in studying medicine. It's cool character development.
Oh, most definitely. The thing I liked about it was like in addition to fleshing out the characters, there was a whole lot of um, they definitely had a lot of tension that they built in this episode.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, also liked like Cass consults Janeway about the doctor. Like she says like what if a member of the crew's needs aren't being met? Um, and I thought like to me like it seemed like that made Cass like more likable.
Oh, definitely, she was very much an advocate for the entire crew. So
Hmm.
it was everybody was part of the crew, including the doctor.
Hmm.
Like one of my favorite quotes from the doctor in the entire episode was, "Let's just say I've become accustomed to being treated like a hypospray."
Yeah. Then how do you feel about like the recasting of actors in Star Trek? Because like obviously like Telecrimmore, the Romulan, is played by Vaughn Armstrong, who's been like one of the most at least up to Discovery, was one of the most recast actors alongside Jeffrey Combs.
And I gotta say, as far as recognizability, like Jeffrey Combs will always be the most recognizable, but
Yeah,
Vaughn was very much. I think he was trying to kind of hop on the Jeffrey Combs train,
yeah,
but he worked it. It worked very well in his favor because he was able to play some characters and really try something different. Like last week, I talked with Todd Stashwick,
hmm,
and I had mentioned his role in Enterprise,
yeah,
and he said a lot of it has to do with the writers, but it's that symbiosis between the writers and the director and the actor all together that makes it.
yeah. I thought like he's not too recognizable because I was thinking about I think his most well-known role, Star Trek role, is Admiral Forrest probably in Enterprise. And I thought, like, it's significant. It's obviously significantly different from that. I feel anyway.
Oh, definitely. And if you look at it, if you look at all the characters that they repurposed, like
Yeah,
J.G. Hertzler, how many different characters he played,
yeah,
and how many different versions of his name they use as a guest star.
mhm,
Like I think when he played the Changeling, I think they actually listed him as um, I think they actually listed him as John Hetzler or
yeah,
Johann, or they mixed it up to kind of like throw everybody off, but you really knew who it was at the end of the episode.
yeah. Um, I love like so often as well. It's not like not only this did Star Trek and does Star Trek like um return some of the same actors that we know and love. But also like props and set pieces and stuff like that. So I really liked. I noticed like the chair. You got the Romulan chair. and Romulan sat, even though you only see like a small part of it. But I thought like that's really recognizable to like fans of the Next Generation. I thought that was cool.
Oh, totally. And what really threw me about that was when they took the package and they were trying the test transport, and it materialized on his desk. It kind of made me wonder: is that his food replicator that they're beaming it to?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like I think the test cylinder and like the technobabble and um explaining all the different parts of it basically. I think that was like uh one of my favorite elements of the episode. I've been studying writing, the craft of writing, like fiction, and basically, and come across this principle of like show don't tell, and including details and stuff like that. And obviously, like in this episode, like they include so much detail, so it's really great.
And my entire time being a Star Trek fan, I have always been a detail guy.
Hmm.
Like if something's just this far out of whack, it completely throws me.
Hmm.
Like sometimes I'll have to watch an episode 2 or 3 times before it really clicks for me.
Yeah. Do you know how many times you've watched this episode?
Um, as of this morning, it was like my third or fourth time. So
Oh,
I
cool.
I didn't really get big into Voyager. I've seen the whole series
Hmm.
like combined. I've seen the whole series one round, and then like I'll pick out my favorite episodes and watch those.
Hmm.
So let me think here. Let me look over my notes here. I think I've gone too far in my notes here. Hold on. All right. So at some point in the episode, the captain was talking with the doctor, and she said, "You don't have the luxury of thinking of yourself as an emergency medical program anymore. You've become a full-fledged member of the crew." Now, when she said that, do you think that kind of opened the door for the doctor's progression into self-realization?
That's interesting. Um, I guess so. I thought it was an interesting moment talking about the doctor. Um, I thought it's interesting that a moment when Cass comes and kisses on the cheek, I think, and then he's like completely surprised by it. And also, I with this episode, I wrote like most of the Memory Alpha episode article about the episode. Um, so there's a lot of background information like included on that episode page. And before coming on to this interview, I read some of that and what Rob Ricardo was saying about the because the episode ends with uh, like the doctor saying that he would like a name. Um, so I thought, well, he's ultimately, when the show ended, when Voyager ended, he still doesn't have a name. But yeah, there's been a lot of suggestions and considerations about what names he could have. Um, and I thought it was interesting. Like Rob Picardo, like clearly liked that like in joke, as it were, and said, "Well, it's to do with like the writers were showing that like the Doctor's an indecisive program." I thought I thought maybe it was like to sort of emphasize that he's not human, that the he is sort of like an alien, even though he's not. He's a hologram. But
And to be honest, now that we have season 2 of Prodigy coming to Netflix, I'd really like to see the writers kind of explore that.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Have you seen the clip of the Doctor?
Oh, I have. I won't lie, I got a little excited about that because
Yeah.
I follow Bob Picardo on Twitter and Facebook, and when he has his doctor videos, and he's in character as the doctor, it's actually quite amusing. So it would be really nice to see him kind of expand on what was laid out in Voyager.
Yeah, that'll be brilliant. Okay, I need to plug in my phone. Can you let me know if you can continue to hear me? I think you will. But
Okay, I'll keep you posted.
can you hear me still?
I can.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, I've plugged it into the charger. So regarding I did make a note about the Doctor. Yeah, do you think he should have received the name ultimately?
Oh, absolutely. That was probably the one disservice they did throughout the entire series was he never got a name.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought as well, like that seems a little bit. It's yeah, he just seems quite like Data. I think Data wanted to be like uh, I basically human, didn't he? He's based on the idea of Pinocchio, wanting to be a real boy, wanting this the outsider character, as it were, who's not human but wanting to 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 be human and to explore the idea of humanity, and the show using the characters to explore what it means to be human. I thought it was interesting.
And
Um, yeah, go
and
ahead.
interesting that you point that out because you've seen season 3 of Picard, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, they were able to flesh that out. So he has the feelings without a feeling chip. He has the fear without his emotion chip.
Hmm.
Um, and it showed us that they could give him kind of a fly by the seat of the pants moment, which is
Hmm.
something we never saw in Data in any format.
Hmm. A fly by the seat of the pants moment in what regard?
Say that one more time.
A fly by the seat of the pants moment, by in what regard?
Um, like um, when they're doing the Death Star flying through the Borg cube. Data turns and looks at everybody. It's like, I need you guys to trust me, please. And he says, I can do this, and he has that gut moment where he's just gonna literally fly by the seat of his pants, and he knows he can do it, but nobody is able to fully trust him because he's not the same Data to them.
Hmm. I thought the moment was a little bit similar to when he says, "Oh shit," when he
That was definitely something I don't think any Star Trek fan was ready for when he dropped the S bomb.
yeah. Talking about the Doctor in Eye of the Needle, well, less so Eye of the Needle, but more in Voyager, and in general, I remembered, like, I've collected the scripts, a lot of the scripts from Voyager's making, and I was remembering, like, he actually is given a name in the first season because he's called Doc Zimmerman in the scripts. That's season one.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I think that's one of those things where it's just going to be um, one of those pick your battle kind of moments where it's like, well, it happened, but dwelling on it's not really going to change anything
Mhm.
unless you look at it from the Prodigy standpoint, where they can kind of piecemeal put the stuff together.
Yeah. I also thought, there's that scene with Janeway in her bedroom, or well, I should say, her quarters, on the USS Voyager. That I thought, like, watching that scene seemed funny to me because I'm like, where's the curtains? Like, instinctually, because we live on Earth and because, so many bedrooms on Earth would include curtains. But then I'm like, well, she doesn't need them if they're out in space all the time. But
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna find a case on peeping Tom or something.
no, I was just thinking just now, like, what happens if they like pass a supernova or whatever, bright sun or whatever?
Sorry, Dan, say that one more time.
Oh, well, I was thinking just now, like, what would happen though if, like, the Voyager passed like a supernova or a sun or or something bright in space?
Well, from a technical standpoint, I'm sure they would have automatic tinting, automatic tinting windows at that point.
Oh yeah, because yeah, that's what I remember. That happens to like Boimler. Uh, Basically, it needs tinted windows.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That they put him down by the nacelles, and he
Yeah,
can't get a decent night's sleep.
yeah.
Alrighty, well, Dan, um, unfortunately, I'm kind of short on time tonight, but
Okay.
it was really good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us for the episode review. Um, I tell all my guests this will be published to YouTube and anywhere you find your podcast Sunday at midnight. So it'll take a little while, but it'll definitely be produced.
Cool. I I just would like to say as well, I love the tragic ending of the episode.
Most definitely. That's usually the hope is dwindled and then it's unfortunately a tragic end, but it did make for a decent season.
Yeah. And
Well, Dan, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Have a great night, and I will talk to you later.
yeah, thank you very much for this podcast. Take care.
Have a good one. And in other news, Star Trek Picard and Strange New Worlds were honored this week at the 2024 Saturn Awards. Sir Patrick Stewart and Terry Matalas, the showrunner for Picard, were on hand to accept the award for Best Science Fiction Television Series. And Sir Patrick also was awarded Best Actor in a Television Series. Additionally, Jonathan Frakes, who was unable to attend, was awarded the Best Supporting Actor in a Television Series, and Jerry Ryan was awarded Best Supporting Actress. The one Strange New Worlds award went to Paul Wesley for Best Guest Star in a Television Series for his role as Lieutenant James T. Kirk in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. More on this can be found at trekmovie.com. Additionally, in Discovery News, the season 5 villain talks about pure adventure and Star Trek callbacks. Um, Elias, um, I'm sorry, Elias Tufexis, who plays La'ak in season 5 of Star Trek Discovery, teases about pure adventure throughout the entire season without actually going into detail or spoilers. Additionally, he talks about his role as La'ak, who has another half um, by the name of Maul. He likened their characters to Bonnie and Clyde and spoke extensively on uh, their level of love. He also said it's not a Joker and Harley Quinn type relationship. He's much more sinister and much more focused than that. More on this also can be found at trekmovie.com. And finally, Star Trek Discovery lead actress Sonequa Martin Green has teased at a Burnham and Book reunion, as well as a big twist in the final season. Miss Martin Green, my apologies. In an interview at the TV line at Atlanta's SCAD TV Fest, had mentioned that the previous seasons got a little dark and heavy, and she promises, quote, a great sense of adventure and fun in season 5. Quote, it's a bit of a tonal shift that I think people will enjoy, unquote. But she also thinks what people really enjoy seeing is Burnham back together in the same sector as Book, who is played by David Ajala. The season 5 trailer, quote, would suggest they are on some sort of mission together, unquote. She assures us that the relationship between Burnham and Book is definitely going to be covered. It's part of the story. But the final season also involves a lot of relationships among the Discovery crew, she notes. There's no stone left unturned. We dig into some of everything in season 5. Could we see some familiar faces? I'm sure we could. We may see, she's teased at possibly seeing Spock, played by Ethan Peck. She's kind of coy on that one, but she does also say, quote, I hope those chances are good, unquote. More on this can be found at tvline.com.